Hello, everybody. My name is Fernando. I am a PhD student in a state university of Unicamp in Brazil. I have been research about wind bands, Brazilian wind band, and music education in the bands. I have been research about wind bands since last 5 years, but I have been working in bands since the last 20 years. I have I am presenting a clipping of my PhD research for name the musical accent of Brazilian's band. It's a little clipping about my PhD research, and I'm talking about the pronouns of the music in the bands, in the Brazilian bands. In general, the research investigates how bands manage to remain active even in the face of profound social transformation in our country. Initial hypothesis is that the strength behind this movement would be the sense of belonging to the community surrounding the bands. However, we have been discovering that there are different points in the construction of the identity of Brazilian bands. These points do not invalidate the initial hypothesis, but add to each. We have talking about the different costumes and the different points in the bands because isn't, there isn't just the community around the band, but there is different groups, social groups, and the Brazilian's band is connected with these different groups. Uh, I'm talking about the different customs, values, and ideologies, civic and political, militaries, religious, entertainment, sports, and educational, community sense, of course, and technology transformations. Uh, the bands are playing and having performance connected with all these different groups. Unfolding for the initiate discovery, uh, we are seeing the internal and external interaction. However, the band is interacting with these different groups uh, for two different different ways: internal and external interactions. When I talk about internal interaction, we are talking about intimate, most intimate or individual in the band environment. When talk about external interactions, we are talking about collective situations or institutional situations. And most important, talking about during performance when the band is playing and the community is around, is watching, and different people is watching the band. It's a special situation for us. Um, in this interactions, there is the appropriation of different repertories, but not just repertories and customs and values. And we are talking about repertoire, military repertoire, and customs repertoire, and values repertoire, military repertoire, religious and the repertoire from parties, regional parties, and technologies about movies or TV shows or different situations, and the band is connected with new technologies. So there is a big appropriation in the bands of different repertoire, costumes, and values. Uh, The third point and of unfolding is the role of the repertoire as a fundamental element, because the repertoire is in the before begin situation of the interactions, is during the interaction, and after interactional. It's so important because in the repertoire we are seeing a big connection with the language of accent bands, musical accent of the bands, Brazilian bands. So this paper for this congress, we are talking about the accent, music accent, but the question is, where is it? Where is the musical accent of Brazilian bands? This is the question in this paper in my presentation today for you. The first point, we took a bibliography revision to discuss possibilities to answer this question. Where is it? Where is the musical accent of the Brazilian bands? So in the first place, of course, the sense of belonging to communities, because this is our initial hypothesis. But this point show us three another different points. And the first, when we are talking about communities, we are talking about small towns, villages, conservatories, colleges, universities. We are talking about different behaviors, different values, and in Brazil, there is different types of bands that playing of having performs in these different situations. This is connected with the second point, that is public or collective space. In Brazil, we have a big discussion about the public of the difference between public or collective space or place. But this question is not for now, but it's necessary talk public and collective space, because we're talking about squares, bandstands, bandstands like gazebo bands, gazebo space bands in the squares, streets, house, theaters, churches, and different space, different places. The third point in connected sense of belonging to communities is performance situation or performance conditions in these different spaces. So different bands playing walking, marching, choreographed, or city. This is a big discussion, and the Lange and Patel and Schwartz support us to do this discussion in this paper as publishing in the ISME Music Society, ISME International Society Music Education Congress in 2021. The second big point is the technical domain and the teaching methodology. In Brazilian's band, there is a big and a strong heritage of traditional education. And this situation shows reproduction of musical customs and new repertories. That is progressive methodologies, yes, of course, that is. But new practice is submissive to traditionals. That is overlap and a dialectical interaction. That is traditional values and the progressive values. There is traditional repertory and progressive repertory. There is traditional costumes and progressive costumes. And these 2 points is connected in a dialectical interaction. So we are considering that there is a methodological uncertainty, range and relative flexibility of practice. Uh, the musical accent of Brazilian's band is not just in his heritage of traditional education. It's not just in progressive methodologies. There is a complex space. The next point is the basic instrumental format. It's important. We talking about, and the Patel support us to discuss this situation. But it's necessary to consider that there is different configurations and different type of bands. And they start in the beginning. See, in Brazil, we have news about the wind band since 1549. So for us, wind band, it's a very, very old news. There's a long time. In the beginning, the traditional musical wind bands, Brazilian wind bands, uh, uh, played and have action in all situations, and with political connections, religious, education, and different situations. But for now, we have different types of bands, and it's not a basic instrumental format because we have different configurations. Just brass and percussion instruments are just wood instruments are wood and drums, percussion instruments. We are talking that is different situations, not just one or another situation. And this complex space is connected a complex musical accent of the bands. Finishing, finishing, we are talking, it's necessary to consider sound materiality, basic instrumentation, and different instrumental configuration. It's necessary to consider proven musical, reproducible articulations and accents from the traditional repertory and news repertory, progressive repertories. That is perception. That is an important point in the perception, giving the sense of community belonging. It's so important for us. The performance space and different conditions, music styles, or more on their diversity. We are talking in the diversity of music styles. It's more strong for the music accent of the bands. And the last time, the accent of the bands is in the subjective and dialectical meaning of this complex network of dynamic elements that make up the identity reality of the groups. So, I hope that you understand that this is a little clipping of my PhD student, and it's possible extend this research. It's necessary extend and turn more deep. And for now, that is it. I'm grateful to you. Thanks for watching a little bit about my research, and I hope to see you on the Zoom class to answer your question in Portuguese, please. Goodbye. See ya.